Hey guys, it's Adrienne here from Crafty Little Gnome, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the biggest mistakes that Etsy sellers make when they first open their shop. So I have been selling my jewelry online on sites like Etsy and Amazon. I've done Artfire, eBay, and I've been selling online for almost 10 years now. So I have learned a lot during my time through online sales, and I have seen a ton of changes on sites like Etsy as the years have gone by. And when I started my shop, I'll be honest, I didn't really know what I was doing, and there's a lot of mistakes that I made that a lot of other people also make when they're first starting out. So today I just wanted to talk about what some of those mistakes are and what you can do instead to help make sure that you are successful from the start. So let's start with number one. Number one would be not having enough inventory. So I'm talking about if you do a search on Etsy and you come up and you find a cool shop, but they only have maybe 5 or 6 things for sale. That is definitely not something that you want to do. You want to make sure, that you would have at least like 20 items in your shop to start out with. If you can have more, that's better. Definitely having more items is better. If you can have 50 to 100 or even 100 plus, that's kind of ideal. If you're just starting out, list the 5 items that you have. If that's all that you have, it's better to get something out there and started than not have anything. And then just try to add maybe another 5 or 10 items every week and keep adding on as much as you can until you get to 100 items. So again, if you want to start with 5 or 6, that's okay. Put up and post what you have and start selling those. But if you're serious about opening a shop and running your business, you want to have as many items as possible. So try to get more items in as quickly as you can and really work towards getting up to 100 items up for sale. Another like a trick you can do to help get more items up for sale is if you say have like a pair of earrings that you can sell in maybe silver metal or gold metal. You can list both variations on one listing. So I could do citrine earrings with silver ear hooks. And then I would also have, citrine earrings available with gold hooks. And then in my keyword title at the top, I would do one listing that's featuring the silver, but I would also have the gold available for sale in that same listing. And I would do another listing for the gold ear hooks. And then I would also have the silver listing available under the variations. And I would have a couple photos of the different options. So regardless if a customer clicked on the silver earwire title post or the gold listing, they would be able to purchase either one. So that's an easy way to get more listings with what you already have, is to just try to change up the title and change up the tag slightly so that you can list it in more than one listing. The second thing that I think people make the mistake of doing is not working enough on their photography. So there is so much competition, you guys, online for sales. Your photography and your photos have to be excellent. There's really no room for you to have photos that are slightly blurry or photos that are off center, photos that don't have a very crisp, clear close-up. You want to use as many of the 10 available slots as you can. I don't necessarily use all 10, but I will definitely use all 5. And you want to have a close-up shot, a wide shot. So if I was photographing this necklace, I'm going to have a tight close-up of just the pendant. I'm going to show it on a model, on myself. I'm going to take maybe a selfie or a picture of somebody else and show what it looks like on a person. I'm going to have a photo of the chain so that people can see what the chain looks like. I'm going to have a photo of the clasp. So you want to show the different areas so that people can really have a look at what the item is, since they obviously can't pick it up and hold it. They're just seeing it from a screen. So you want to be able to convey what it is that you're selling through those photos. If you're having trouble filling out the 10 slots, another thing that you should be doing is photographing how the item is going to be shipped. So in my case, I would show the little jewelry box that I ship it in, how it's tied up in a little bow. I'm going to take a picture of that and I'm going to put it in one of the listings. One of the mistakes I see people making, and I have done it myself, is not using a nice like a background or base for the photo. So for some reason, a lot of people like to use like draped fabric and then put jewelry or, you know, an ornament or whatever it is they're selling on that. And that can look kind of, I don't know, I guess amateur or not professional. If you're in doubt, just use a nice white background. You can go to the craft store or the dollar store and get like a cheap piece of poster paper and just lay it out and do like a white background. That's a really good place to start. You can also get like a nice wood plank or a piece of wood or something interesting. You can get marble contact sheets. A lot of people use those. Again, that's just from like the dollar store, or you can get them off Amazon. Just like a plastic piece that has a pattern on it, something like marble or stone that would look really nice. The third mistake that I see people making on their Etsy shops is when you are creating your listing is to not fill out all of the available fields. So when you're going through, there's going to be option for title, the year it's made, the material that it's made out of. In terms of jewelry, you have an option to say like what the stone is and things like that. And you want to make sure you are filling out every little single thing that you can. Don't leave them blank. Fill it in as best as you can, because that's going to help people find your items in search. For example, if I was doing an earring listing and there's an option there for the type of stone, so these earrings are citrine. If I didn't click citrine and just wrote it in the listing area, there's an area for you to type what the listing is. I could put citrine in there, but when you put it in the field where it has the option for citrine as opposed to every other gemstone, that's going to help the search engine with Etsy let the search engine know and let potential customers know that your item is citrine. So when someone types in citrine earrings, because that's what they're looking for, you're more likely to be found if you fill out all of those fields with the correct items. So the correct materials, the correct stones, the correct kind of clasp, everything that you can, you want to make sure that you fill in. The next mistake I see people making, and I'm pretty sure everyone kind of makes this mistake at some point, is not calculating your shipping costs. So I have seen so many people get kind of screwed over because they didn't figure out exactly how much it costs to ship an item. And let me tell you, it is always more expensive than you think it's going to be. This is especially the case with larger items like pieces of artwork or sculptures. What you need to do before you list your item for sale and type in what you're going to use for the shipping price, you need to go to the post office and actually figure out what it's going to cost to ship. Now, since you haven't made a sale yet, you're probably not going to know exactly where it's going to be shipped to. So what I like to do, I live in Washington State. I live in pretty much the most northwest corner of the country that I can. I'll choose a destination like Miami, which is pretty much as far away from where I live, but still within the country, and I'll pick a post or a zip code from Miami, and I'll calculate how much it costs to ship. So for something like a necklace that's first class, it's pretty much going to cost, I think it's $2.66 right now to ship first class. So I calculate that cost, and then I add on the cost of the jewelry box, the cost of the envelope, the cost of gas it takes me to get all the way to the post office. I figure out every single thing that I am paying to ship that item, and not just including the cost of postage, but the whole shipping materials and even just my time of going to the post office. And that's how I calculate my shipping cost. And even though Miami would be the furthest away and the most expensive, I'm still going to charge somebody who lives in, say, Oregon, which is only a state away, the same price. It just makes it easy, and there really isn't going to be that much of a price difference. For first class, there definitely isn't, but for like priority mail or express mail, it just makes it easier for myself to calculate the most expensive, and then I charge that for everybody. For international orders, this is even more important. You definitely want to make sure that you are calculating how much it costs. So you really need to do your research. Go online to USPS.com or any of the other shipping sites, FedEx.com, UPS.com, and figure out how much it's going to cost. Otherwise, someone's going to make a sale, and you're either going to lose a ton of money because you didn't figure out the shipping cost properly, or you're not going to be able to ship it, and you're going to have an upset customer if you tell them, hey, sorry, but I charged you $15 for shipping and it's going to cost me $70. Can you pay the difference? You can't really do that without upsetting your customer. They're not going to want to shop with you after that. So definitely take the time to figure that out. Now, the next mistake I see people making, and this goes with the one before about shipping, is deciding how it's going to be packed. So you need to make sure, especially if you're selling things that are fragile, that you are packing them so that they will not break. So even if you buy insurance, if you use USPS, if you use UPS or FedEx, you are responsible for making sure that that item will not break through normal shipping methods. So what that means is that if you have a box on the top of a truck, it should be able to fall off the top of the truck shelf onto the bottom without breaking. That's generally the shipping courier's rules. So if it's just going through normal belts and conveyors on trucks, somebody might accidentally drop it. Your packaging needs to be able to withstand that. And if it doesn't, then they're not going to pay you the insurance for that if you can't ship it properly, especially if you're shipping something like shampoos or soaps, something liquid that could leak. Don't take the chance. Make sure you really go the extra mile and make sure that it is packed so that it will not break or bust during shipping. The next thing that we're going to talk about, a mistake that people make, is pricing. So how do you know how much to charge for your items? I could do a whole separate video on this, and I will. What I want to say with pricing is that it doesn't matter how much you want to charge for an item. The only thing that matters is how much people are willing to pay. And I say this over and over again because people get it in their brain that, okay, I hand knit this beautiful Afghan and it took me 30 hours and it's worth $500. Yeah, it is worth $500 for this beautiful Afghan. Nobody's paying that. I'm sorry, but they're just not. Especially when you can go to Bed Bath & Beyond and buy a machine knit beautiful Afghan for 20 bucks that was made in China. You might be able to sell a couple of, hand crocheted $300 Afghans per year, but it doesn't matter that nobody cares that that's how much time it took you and how much time it cost. So if that's what you're selling, you really want to rethink and maybe say, okay, maybe I don't spend the time, 30 hours crocheting this beautiful blanket, and instead I sell beanies that cost $20 each, and you could sell hundreds of those. So that's something to keep in mind. The other thing with pricing is that you don't want to price too low, because if somebody's looking online and they see maybe 4 or 5 items that all look the same, they're not necessarily going to choose yours to purchase just because it's cheaper. A lot of the times people will see an item, see that it's cheaper, and think to themselves, why is that so expensive? What's wrong with it? There must be something wrong with it. It must not be very good quality. So keep that in mind and try to keep it within the mid-range, and always charge the highest amount that you can for an item. So let's say, for example, I have this necklace. It's selling really well. I'm selling a lot of them. I'm going to increase the price a little bit, and I'm going to keep increasing the price until the sales start to slow down. That makes sure that you are getting the amount of money that it's worth. So you are selling it at that point for the maximum that people are going to pay. The next thing we're going to talk about with mistakes that new Etsy sellers make is your shop policies. So you want to make sure that if you don't accept returns, that you are very explicitly saying that in your shop policies. And you also want to explain what your exchange policy is, what your refund policy is, what your policy is with custom orders and customize things. Like if you engrave something with somebody's name, if maybe that you're not going to accept a return for that. And the reason this is super, super important is because no matter how perfectly you make something, no matter how great it seems to you, there's always going to be that person who, for whatever reason, is not happy, and it has nothing to do with you. You just can't predict it. You could send it off. It could be exactly as it's shown in the photo, and they're going to get home and they're going to say, like, oh my God, what is this? Like, this is not what I wanted. And they could be totally wrong. But the issue is that eventually someone's going to want a refund and someone's going to want, or maybe an exchange. And you really have to have your policy set, because that's what's going to save your butt when they try to file a complaint against you or try to get your money back through PayPal. You could say, hey, these are my policies that I explicitly state that I do not accept refunds on custom orders. So if you don't have that, then you're going to be held liable and you're going to have to take the refund back. So that's something to keep in mind. The next mistake that we're going to talk a little bit about is branding. So when you first start out, I mean, it's important to have a logo and things like that. But if you're super new, it's not imperative. So I see people all the time spending a ton of money on like an expensive logo and shop signs and banners and things like that. And I don't necessarily think that you need that. The thing that you really need to have with your branding is a cohesive look and style. And this is going to come from who you're targeting as your audience. So if you are hoping that your customers are going to be young millennials as opposed to baby boomers, maybe you're going to style your photographs differently or your items differently. And it's really important that throughout your shop that you have a cohesive look with the way that your photographs look, with the props that you're using, with the background colors that you're using. You don't want to have it be a giant mishmash of different styles and different colors that maybe don't look good together when the listings are side by side. So even though you might not necessarily want to worry too much about like what kind of font you're using or things like that, you really want to make sure that overall your branding look is cohesive throughout your Etsy shop. The next thing that we are going to talk about, mistakes that people make, is not doing a little bit of keyword research and optimizing their site for search engines. So what that means is, if I was going to sell a necklace on my Etsy shop and I could call it the Chloe necklace, silver Chloe necklace, or something like that, that is definitely not what you want to do. You want to be very specific and you want to be very literal in how you are titling your items and the words that you use in your listing and also in your tags. So for this, I'm going to say, you know, blue druzy pendant necklace, crystal bead, silver chain. I'm going to be very literal about what it is instead of just using like a cute title. That's because when the search engines crawl through Etsy and someone's typing in blue crystal necklace, then your items are going to come up instead of, no one's going to be searching for Chloe necklace unless their name is Chloe and they want it on a necklace. So you really want to be literal about what it is. And you can also do a bit of keyword research ahead of time. There is a Chrome extension called Keywords Everywhere, and you can type in any keyword and it'll tell you what the monthly search volume is on Google for that. So that's definitely something that you want to add to your Chrome web browser. Just do a Google search for keywords everywhere and it'll come up, and that can be really helpful when you're trying to decide on your title listing. And it also comes in handy when you're trying to figure out what exactly that you want to be selling online, because you can search and see what people are looking for, and that'll help you decide on items that people are actually probably going to buy because more people are searching for them. All right, guys, those are my top 10 tips for new Etsy sellers. Make sure if you have an Etsy shop, leave a comment below with your Etsy shop name so that I can give you a shout out in the next video. Okay, so definitely hit the subscribe button so that you can catch all my videos, and make sure you let me know what you're selling in the comments. All right, guys, bye.